Hello, welcome to Notts Today with me, Al Booth. I hope you're well, I hope you had a great weekend. This is what we've got coming up for you today. First, we've been to find out why Nottinghamshire Hospice is calling on the government to end a national funding crisis.
People don't work here for salaries or status. So to have to sit in a room with people and talk to them about potentially losing their job or reducing their hours when they are so passionate about what they do is absolutely heartbreaking.
We'll have more on that shortly for you. And today is the day that has been deemed Blue Monday. According to marketing folklore, it's the day of the year we're meant to feel the most down. We'll be talking to an author and life coach about just that and how it's all bunkum, but how you can battle it if you're feeling the effects of a long January. Not just one day. Unless you've been living under a rock, or indeed loving under a rock as well. You know, President Trump was inaugurated back into the White House today. We've asked people in Nottingham what they think his term will hold.
It's going to make things a lot more, American imports a lot more expensive here, and I think that it'll certainly impact British farmers as well.
I think the politicians here will bow down to him. They'll give in to whatever he wants, his demands.
Later on, we're going to be talking to a filmmaker about his dog about a new film that's premiered in Hucknall. Kama Sudhara, which follows the director's journey of unmarried life, is filled with love, laughter and Labradors too. And we've got a bumper sport roundup that includes cup draw, Panthers and reaction to results for Stags, County and another win for European hopefuls Forest.
Again, this demonstration how tough this league is, how competitive it is. Credit to Southampton. In the final was about surviving, was about getting the job done.
There you go, all that and loads more as well just for you. First then, a Nottingham hospice has called on the government to assist in ending what it describes as a national funding crisis. Nottinghamshire Hospice has been helping its residents with terminal illnesses and also helping their families for 40 years. It says now it's put 17 employees at risk of losing their jobs because the hospice faces an extra £190,000 in costs for this calendar year. It also faces a predicted £800,000 financial deficit next year, in part because of extra staffing costs caused by the government's budget. Jordan Guerrero has got more.
This is often the final destination for people with terminal illnesses or those coming to the end of their lives, and offers somewhere to play games with a smile on their face. But last week, Nottinghamshire Hospice woke up to the hard news of a looming funding crisis for services like this one. It's meant the charity could be putting 17 of its employees at risk of losing their jobs, all to save funds so their home care service can be unharmed. The hospice said staffing costs account for 4 in every 5 it spends, but the level of support it and similar organisations across the country get from the government isn't filling the budget gaps. Chief Executive Officer Rachel Hucknall says they anticipate a 25% rise in demand for service while having to cope with having fewer staff to support the numbers.
People don't work here for salaries or status. So to have to sit in a room with people and talk to them about potentially losing their job or reducing their hours when they are so passionate about what they do is absolutely heartbreaking. The forecast is that hospice care is going to face increasing demand over the next few years. So we're looking at a 25% increase in demand in people needing hospice care. So we're hoping that our lobbying of the government will bring additional funding to us.
The hospice faces an additional £190,000 in costs created by the rise in national minimum wage and national insurance contributions. The decision is to look at making redundancies in order to protect its hospice in your home services, which supports 9 out of 10 patients and families with care in their own homes.
We enable people to die at home. We support people to stay out of hospital, which also helps the hospitals to be able to look after more acutely unwell patients and provide that support not only to the patients but their families in the home environment. Unfortunately, these decisions have to be made. But as I said, without these decisions, the future of the hospice would be in doubt.
A spokesperson for the Department for Social Care said, "We recently announced the largest investment in hospices in a generation. This £100 million fund will improve facilities and allow hospices to focus their attention and wider resources on providing the best care to patients." The consultation period for employees is likely to take up to 30 days. Until then, it remains to be seen whether it's the end of the line for some jobs in this end-of-life facility. Jordan Guerrero for Notts TV.
Right, now, today has been deemed Blue Monday. It's a day thought to be the most depressing of the year. That's because of poor weather and dark mornings and nights and a general loss of motivation, and because many of us are very far from payday. It's all nonsense though. According to the Samaritans, it was a day created by a marketing company in 2005 to sell holidays. Thanks for that. Whatever you believe, never hurts to have some tips on being positive. So joining me now is author and life coach Adam Goodman-Smith. Adam, thank you for coming in.
Hello, good to see you.
Bringing some colour to the grey January day.
Yes, this is it. Trying to find those pockets of joy in what is otherwise a pretty grim time of the year.
Yeah, I mean, all that, you know, it's dark and it's cold, we know that, but and it is the longest month. Payday should be today, and we've still got 2 weeks to go. So, you know, people do get down, don't they? That's fair enough, I think.
Yeah, and I mean, you're totally right. It started as a marketing ploy, but then the last few years, it's sort of been flipped a bit to become almost like a beacon or a statement of how important it is to look after, you know, mental health. Of course, like 12 months of the year, but in particular, this time for all those reasons you shared.
Yeah, it's a bit of a kicker, isn't it? So how do we go about that? This isn't like clinical depression, you know. There's obviously that where you should see a GP and you can get medication. That's a very real thing, which is why I'm so against Blue Monday. But there is that thing of feeling low mood, isn't there, and needing to pick yourself up.
There totally is, and it's finding those little pockets of joy. So I've got some, you know, really simple ideas, things that people can do. The first thing is to recognise that other people share our feelings. So we're not alone in going through this. And when we realise actually that the person opposite me at work or my best friend on the phone's going through the same thing, suddenly it's not so big an issue, you know. There's something about we're in this together. So that would be the first thing, recognise that people share our feelings. The second thing is, and if anybody is already sick and tired of being told to move their body, this is probably the time. You're not going to like this bit, but it's get out and get moving. Really what this is for me is turn off the news.
Oh yeah.
Step away from scrolling, get outside, get those endorphins going, and that will instantly boost mood.
That isn't just about, you know, being really physical, you know, going out for a 5-mile jog or anything like that. It's just like you say, just stepping out, walking to the end of your road even, isn't it?
Yeah, I was talking to your producer and she was saying making effort to get outside and going for a walk at lunch. Yeah. Even if you're just going for a little wander, it all helps.
Yeah, just being in the fresh air. It's a very
it.
old-fashioned thing, but it does do wonders, doesn't
like
it?
Going out to take air, like Queen Victoria used to.
Going to take air.
That's it. Let's go and take air. Yeah.
Absolutely. Okay.
Third thing is, and this is all connected, connect with somebody. Pick up the phone, send a text, arrange to go for a coffee, and that's actually connected to my last top tip, which is have something to look forward to. It doesn't have to be a holiday, it could just be a coffee date with a friend, but having something we know is coming helps us be a bit more hopeful. You know, about all of this. So simple things, but not that simple, otherwise we wouldn't be talking about them.
No, that's true. And it does affect loads of people, doesn't it? Like you say, you know, it's easy to open the curtains and go, oh, where's the light hasn't shone in yet. That's
exactly.
You know.
And if you're like me, I haven't got a window in my office, so I walk in the light and then I leave and it's the middle of the night.
Yeah, that's the opposite of when you go to the cinema and, you know, you think, oh, it's nighttime, it's daytime. How did you get into this? What was your journey into?
Oh my gosh. So the book had been in the making for a really long time. While I was in corporate, I tried to get it started, couldn't get it going, left corporate and sort of embodied this whole idea of diva. Suddenly all the colours come in and the shirt and tie are gone. And it came really easily. So this is the kind of book you'd buy for your best mate who sometimes forgets how amazing they are. It's, The Way of the Diva, your guide to a more confident, bolder, braver you.
Some really positive things. So what are you looking forward to this year? What's, you know, you practice what you preach.
Oh my gosh.
How do you go about, not even just this year, but day to day, what's your...
Yeah, connection for me.
Right.
I think so much of this stuff comes down to self-awareness. If you know that if you're going to be in an office and you're not going to see somebody for 3-4 hours, you're going to need that like boost, pick up the phone. So I do that. Voice notes, WhatsApp videos, connecting with people, and of course, a nice summer holiday. hopefully.
That thing to look forward to.
That's it.
Absolutely. There you go. Well, thank you so much. See, and just so much colour.
Thank
You got to
you.
have the brightness, haven't you?
Yes, cheers.
Cheers, Anne. Thank you. Right, let's have a look at some more news headlines now. And a persistent Newark lawbreaker who breached the rules of a suspended sentence has been sent to prison. 20-year-old Rocky Price was handed a 16-week suspended jail sentence in October after being found with a knife in Newark. But he found himself in trouble days after this was imposed, after denting a police car before speeding off on an off-road bike while disqualified and without a licence. He was also involved in drug crime and antisocial behaviour in the town and was jailed for 28 weeks in Nottingham Magistrates Court last week. And cross-border criminals who carried out burglaries to steal high-value cars have been locked up for more than 40 years between them. The gang of 9 offenders targeted homes in Nottinghamshire, in Derbyshire and Warwickshire between September 2020 and the following June. They broke into homes to steal car keys and fitted the vehicles with false plates before selling them off. The estimated value of 15 thefts was nearly £330,000. They all appeared at Nottingham Crown Court last week for sentencing and 8 men were jailed. Right, we're going to be talking sport next. We've got the semi-final draw of the Notts FA Saturday Senior Cup happening right here in the studio. That'll kick off a bumper sport featuring Forest, County, Stags, Panthers, Rugby 2. And also, still to come before the end of the show, we're going to be talking to a filmmaker and a very special star of that film. A little clue for you, the star's got 4 legs. Yeah, that's intriguing, isn't it? It's all happening for you next. Hello, welcome back to Monday's show with me, Al. How are you doing? I hope you're well. Thanks for being here. This is what's happening in Notts today. The City Council's revealed Nottingham's Goose Fair brought an estimated customer spend of more than £10 million last autumn. The annual event took place at the Forest Rec over 10 days in September and October. Nottingham City Council says that despite a tram strike early into the event and the torrential rain midweek as well, there's just short of 500,000 visitors across the event. Spending on the fair is also expected to include nearly £3 million on the city's transport network. And Nottinghamshire Fire and Rescue Service wants to increase its portion of council tax bills by a maximum of £5 a year. The Fire Authority, which plans the service's finances, says putting up the annual bill by this rate will generate an extra £777,000 a year, and that would help it to balance its budgets next year. The authority's Finance Committee unanimously backed the increase at a meeting on Friday. This will now be put before the full authority at a meeting next month. Right, time now for our final draw of the Notts FA Saturday Senior Cup. At this stage of the competition, we're usually down to just 4 teams, but because of game postponements, we've actually still got 7 teams left in the competition. 2 fixtures, which were due to take place this past weekend, are actually happening tomorrow night. There's a third rescheduled for February the 11th. Hucknall Town are the only side into the semis already, and I'm joined by striker Niall Town from the club. Hello, thanks for coming. I mean, that must feel nice to know you're already through, mustn't it?
Yeah, it's lovely. Yeah, it's nice to see who we potentially could get before the games are even played.
How's the cup gone for you this season? Obviously,
well.
it's great you're in the semis, but you know.
Yeah, compared to the league, which we'll probably speak about later, it's gone quite well. We played a Step 4 side, Sherwood Colliery on Wednesday. Seemed pretty comfortable. It got a little bit, you know, at the end, but yeah, happy for a 2-1 win. And then let's see who we get in the semis.
So when you've got a cup run as you have, you know, like a game away from the final, and then like you say, the league, which is proven a little bit trickier, really. I mean, why is that?
They always say the league's more important, but
yeah.
do you know now we're getting to the semis, I feel like, you know, depending on who you get or where our priorities lie, I think for us it is the league, but who does want to win a trophy?
Yeah, of course. You always want to get a cup. It's the romance of the cup and everything, isn't it? But is the mentality different going into a cup match?
Nah, it's, you know, as soon as you cross the white lines, you want to win a game. It's simple. If it's a friendly or it's a cup or it's a league, you want to win. So yeah, when we do play it, we'll be going 110% like the league or any other game.
Now the league, you know, you're doing very well. You personally having a stormer of a season, aren't you? And obviously the team itself is kind of a bit low down. So What's that like? Because you can't be walking in going, I'm in the one of the top scorers.
It's a weird one, but it's not about me. It's more of the club. Yeah, for me, like I say personally, yeah, I'm having a good season, but the main objective is Hucknall and trying to solidify ourselves in the league, which we are starting to seem to be doing, which is obviously good. Yeah.
Well, you've got the new gaffers come in. The weather, like we were talking about the draw today, you're the only team through because of postponements, because of we've had snow, we've had ice, we've had storms with different names. How does that affect you as a player?
Yeah, it's tough because with the new gaffers come in, we have had a good start, and you win a game, and then the morale and all that just seems to decline. But it is tough, especially when training gets cancelled as well. So you can't get together. There's that. Like, the only training session we had last week was going for a pub for a drink, and it was all getting together just so that we're there, sort of thing. But it's tough trying to build momentum. But hopefully we're past that winter weather sort of thing now, and
exactly.
we can properly crack on.
Right then. Well, speaking of cracking on, let's do the draw for the cup. So you're responsible for both home and away teams.
That is fine. Yep.
Let's get going. You're ball number 2.
Ball number 2.
You know. So if you want to crack on, let's get started.
Right. Number 2.
Number 2. Hucknall Town FC.
At home, we don't mind that.
At home draw against.
Number 1.
Number 1, so that's Basford United FC or Nottingham Forest FC B team.
So yeah, that's a good one for me, that is.
Are you happy with that?
I played for Basford and I played in the Forest Academy growing up, so it's one of them ones for me.
You've done all right there. Yeah, continue the draw then. I think we know, but who's playing at home? Yeah.
4.
So that's Radford FC or Clipston FC will take on, just to confirm, there's no road balls in there.
Number 3
is Newark and Sherwood United FC or Retford United FC, and they play tomorrow. In fact, both teams play tomorrow. So yeah, talk about that then. So how do you find that draw?
I don't think the gaffers were happy with me for that one, but for me personally, I'll be excited for that one. Even if I was playing against Clipston or whoever it would have been, me personally, and if we do get Forest, it'll be a good money day for the club. Hopefully, get some fans down and. Should be entertaining either way.
So you were at Forest then in the
I grew
start
up,
of your career?
Yeah, from the ages from 6, 7, 8 till about 14, 15, and then pretty much got dropped straight into semi-professional men's football from 16, and then just worked my way up sort of thing. Ended up going to Basford, and then things change. Went to Australia for a year.
Were you playing football over there?
No.
Just hanging out.
Travelling and that, and then went back to Hucknall.
Okay.
When I got back, because I'm from Hucknall, so I thought, come back, straight to Hucknall, the new ground built, this, that and the other, and loved it ever since.
It's not about me, it's about you, but I once scored a goal in a charity game at Hucknall. Is it still talked about?
I don't know.
2006? Probably is, you were probably out at the time. So hopefully, you're a game away from the final. Do you approach this like any other game, or?
Yeah, especially because the opposition obviously based for a few leagues above, and Forest being Forest, we'll be right up for it.
Yeah.
I think I'm confident. Yeah.
Excellent.
I think we'll be all right. Yeah.
Well, we'll talk to you ahead of the final, MP. Maybe.
Nice
one. Cheers, Nat. Right, let's stay with football. We'll stay with Forest as well, because they extended their unbeaten Premier League run to 8 when they saw off Southampton at the City Ground. It wasn't plain sailing for the Reds, though. They went 3-0 up and could have made it 4 before defender Nikola Milenkovic's header was disallowed by VAR. The Saints scored late on. It was a nervy finish, but Nuno Espirito Santo's side held on for the win. After the game, the head coach said it was important to secure the 3 points.
Again, this demonstration how tough this league is, how competitive it is. Credit to Southampton. We started well. First half was really good. It was a comfortable score. Second half, again, the boys control the game, possession, trying to break them down. A goal that doesn't go, again a stoppage. So in the final, was about surviving, was about getting the job done, and the boys did it.
Now into League One. Promotion chasers Wycombe left it late to get the 3 points against Mansfield, despite a strong performance from Nigel Clough's side. Wanderers went 1-0 up in the 57th minute through Richard Cohn, then Lucas Atkins equalised 11 minutes later. The Stags held on until Gareth McCleary won it for the visitors just 3 minutes before the end. After the game, Clough was full of praise for his players.
Getting 0-0 at half time, much more even in the second half. Went toe to toe with them all over the pitch, and unfortunately just came out on the wrong end of it. And we do feel quite aggrieved with some of the decisions again today, similar to Tuesday. It's not actually quite running for you as it isn't at the moment for us. That's the difference. But I thought we started the game very well. They got on top after that. We changed back to our normal shape and just dealt with it okay. But they have some very, very strong, powerful players. There's a reason they're up there.
Notts County had a much more comfortable result though. They came away from Accrington Stanley with a strong 3-0 win. The Pies saw off Stanley through an early screamer by Tottenham loanee George Abbott. He smashed the ball into the top corner in the 16th minute. A brace from David McGoldrick either side of half-time helped Stuart Maynard's side to lift themselves into 5th in the table. And after the game, Maynard said his side keep growing in confidence.
Relentless press. We knew that we had to come today, and we knew they'd come man for man with us, but we worked so hard on making sure that we closed the game and the counter press, and you've seen it today. The energy levels from the group is incredible, and huge credit to the lad. Steve Collis, to be fair, you've got to give all the credit to him, and that's what probably wins us the game as much as we were really good, but to score from 2 set pieces and George, another like Steven Gerrard strike again right in the top bin, is we worked on it in the training ground, and that's what the work pays off.
Now, into ice hockey. It was a double winning weekend for the Nottingham Panthers in the Elite League. The side started on Saturday. That was a 2-1 win over the Coventry Blaze. And then they travelled north to Scotland and saw off Fife Flyers by 4-2. Speaking after the Coventry win, head coach Danny Stewart said his side got proper stuck in.
I think just we stuck with it, you know what I mean? We've had a lot of close games against Coventry this year, 1-goal games and OT, and I thought they certainly deserved their lead after the first period. They were the better team in the first. I didn't think we played physical enough or competed enough, and made that clear after the first. But I think second and third, I thought we put them under a lot of pressure, and we turned them over. We forced them to defend for extended periods of time.
And we're going to have all the action from the Coventry match right here on Notts TV from 9 p.m. on Wednesday. It's Sport Wednesday, that's here right after Team Talk. And it's a double game week as well. The side also play at home to Guildford in their Challenge Cup play this week. So we'll have all the action from that one right here on Notts TV from 7:30 on Friday. You are in for a treat. In rugby, Nottingham started 2025 off with a loss on the road to bottom of the table Caldy. The Archers lost the game by 27 points to 22. The hosts scored 4 tries and converted 2. The result leaves Nottingham in 4th. Their next match is against Doncaster at the Bay on Friday. Right, it's time for your picture of the day now. Look at this proper nature shot that is, isn't it? A waterside shot at the Attenborough Nature Reserve. Helen Yvette took that one, thank you. As for your weather, it's looking overcast all week, unfortunately. Tonight, temperatures are dropping to 4 degrees, and that cloud is going to be there tomorrow. We might get a little bit of sunshine as a teaser, highs of 6 degrees, and then on Wednesday, it's pretty much the same, although dropping to just 1 overnight into Thursday. Right, when we get back, we're talking to a Nottingham author who's overcome dyslexia to publish an Amazon bestseller. And if you're going out tonight, I'll tell you what's on as well. Hello, welcome back to Notts Today. I'm Al, thanks for being here. Here are some more of your news headlines. First, roadworks on a Notts road known locally as Devil's Bend are expected to be complete by mid-February. A section of the wall along Chilwell Lane in Bramcote collapsed and dropped stonework into the road on January the 8th. It's the second time in the last year that's happened as well. It's led to significant repairs and closures last summer. Now Nottinghamshire County Council has revealed work to repair the stonework. That's going to start on February the 3rd and work will last for 2 weeks. And a police dispersal order was in place across Bulwell over the weekend to clamp down on crime and antisocial behaviour. Nottinghamshire Police issued the order on Friday for various parts of the town centre, saying it related to several reports of antisocial behaviour, generally involving children. The order, which expired at 2:30 p.m. on Sunday, meant anyone under the age of 16 engaging in an antisocial way would be returned to their homes, while the order also gave officers powers to arrest people not leaving the area. Now, if the weekend wasn't long enough for you, we've got some fun things for you to get out on this Blue Monday, as they're calling it. Now, something new for you. Our Hands We Make Our Own Way. That's hosting a creative connection workshop where there will be exercises and games around mindfulness and creativity. It all starts at 7:30 and you donate whatever you want to get in as well. For one night only, the Savoy is showing John Carpenter's dystopian cult classic Escape from New York. It stars Kurt Russell as the iconic Snake Plissken. I'm so pleased I said that well. That starts at 8:30. Tickets are still available. Finally, Nottingham Trent University is hosting an evening of gospel music to celebrate Martin Luther King Day. It all starts at 7 p.m. Tickets are still up for grabs for that one, whatever you are up to tonight. Have a good one. You can, of course, just stay in and read a good book. Speaking of which, we've got a Nottingham author here now. Rebecca Gallagher will be hosting a meet and greet next month to promote her first book, It Pays to Be Happy, which hopes to help you improve your well-being in work as well as at home as well. The book's based on her own journaled thoughts and experiences with ADHD and dyslexia, and explains how having a positive outlook is the key to becoming more successful and happy within just 30 days. And Rebecca is here to tell us all about it. Thanks for coming on the show.
Thank you for having me.
So how did this come about then? What made you want to sit down and write this book?
Well, it's the last thing on my list I thought I would do. I've got a very overactive brain, and the only way I could really process some of that was to kind of get thoughts on paper. And I didn't think much of it. And then one day I was with my friend and she was like, oh, why don't you think about doing a book? I thought, oh God, I don't know about that. And then it turns out that as the more I thought about it, it was kind of being dyslexic at school. It wasn't really meant for me. You're not really meant to be able to write or be an author or those things. And that kind of became part of the mission of this, which is like, how do I help unlock this opportunity for me and then also for other dyslexic people to access new realms of development, and then sat and wrote a book.
As
Madness.
you do. As you do, not as most people do, as you do. So this is, like we've just said there, dyslexia and ADHD is kind of the basis of what this. So let's look at the dyslexia then. So when were you diagnosed? How did that come about?
I think I was in primary school, about 10 or 11 years old.
Okay.
I'm very fortunate to have been diagnosed at school with dyslexia, and had to go through loads of different lessons outside of school, got different extra time and exams and all of those things. So I think fortunate to be diagnosed young, to be able to get extra support. Still quite difficult to be kind of put in a separate box, put in a separate room, be treated differently. But you kind of learn coping mechanisms. And one of the things, so this is all about over the course of 30 days, because it can be quite overwhelming to figure out like your development, where do you even start with that? It's just too much. So this kind of takes all of that pressure away, chunks it down into you just got to read 10 minutes a day. And then over the course of a month, you'll have nailed some of your career growth and development.
That bit in itself is such a good idea, because you go into any bookshop like Waterstones or whatever, and there's whole shelves, isn't there, of self-help books, and I've bought countless over the years. And they, like you say, they're overwhelming. You start reading it and think, flipping heck.
Absolutely. I knew if I was going to do it, I knew exactly how it would be, and that was one of the first decisions I made, was how I would write it and who it would be for. There was no point in writing something that then people like me couldn't then access. So it made so much sense that would be like the first thing. And then it became easy to write because I knew I had 30 sections. And then I just started filling in each section and then kind of worked it into more of a story over how you would build over time. It's got loads of actions in there as well. So we also, as dyslexic people, lose a lot of momentum, like the impulse. So kind of completing actions each day kind of helps you get that reward, build momentum, so you'll want to kind of continue reading it too.
Yeah, it's that thing, isn't it, of having the idea and getting excited, and then the actionable thing is like, oh, that's boring, move on now. So your ADHD, when were you diagnosed with that?
So I would say an informal diagnosis. Okay. What I've learned much about my dyslexia is that a lot of young girls were misdiagnosed with dyslexia because we don't show the hyperactivity in similar ways. Learned much more about neurodiversity recently, and actually would say that it's more in that neuro pathways. So I've always been able to spell really well, read really well, but it's those different ways in the brain pathways and how they operate has been like the key thing. So the two worlds come together quite nicely in that kind of neuro-spicy part.
Yeah, that's it, isn't it? And ADHD isn't always about running around and being hyperactive. It's up here, isn't it?
No, it's the overactivity, the different pathways of how you get from a thought from A to B. Yeah,
absolutely.
Loads of different ways.
So you're doing your book signing and people can come and meet you and buy it. So let's talk about that. Where's it happening and when?
So on the 28th of February at Magic Garden in town, I'll be doing a small event so you can get tickets on Eventbrite. And it will be an opportunity to kind of have a Q&A with the author, get books signed, and I'm also making sure that a donation for all of the books bought on the day, and also between now and September, go towards my half marathon running charity for Robin Hood. So I'll be putting a percentage of any sales towards my charity pot for that as well.
Fantastic. Is this the first time you've done the meet and greet
Yeah.
as an author?
So I published in May last year.
Right.
It's taken me this long to kind of come to terms with the fact that I'm now an author and actually do a little bit of a party to celebrate it.
How exciting.
It is.
Well, congratulations.
Thank you.
Like I say, that 30-day thing is just brilliant. I
there
love
you
that.
go. Small bite-sized pieces.
Yeah, I wish you all the best. Thanks for
Thank
coming
you very
in.
much.
Thank you. Now, let's have another look at your top story of the day. And a Nottingham hospice has called on the government to assist in ending what it describes as a national funding crisis. Nottinghamshire Hospice has been helping its residents with terminal illnesses as well as their families for the past 40 years. It says it's put 17 employees at risk of losing their jobs because the hospice faces an extra £190,000 in costs for this calendar year and a predicted £800,000 financial deficit next year, in part because of extra staffing costs caused by the government's budget. Jordan Guerrero has got more.
This is often the final destination for people with terminal illnesses or those coming to the end of their lives, and offers somewhere to play games with a smile on their face. But last week, Nottinghamshire Hospice woke up to the hard news of a looming funding crisis for services like this one. It's meant the charity could be putting 17 of its employees at risk of losing their jobs, all to save funds so their home care service can be unharmed. The hospice said staffing costs account for 4 in every 5 it spends, but the level of support it and similar organisations across the country get from the government isn't filling the budget gaps. Chief Executive Officer Rachel Hucknall says they anticipate a 25% rise in demand for service while having to cope with having fewer staff to support the numbers.
People don't work here for salaries or status. So to have to sit in a room with people and talk to them about potentially losing their job or reducing their hours when they are so passionate about what they do is absolutely heartbreaking. The forecast is that hospice care is going to face increasing demand over the next few years. So we're looking at a 25% increase in demand in people needing hospice care. So we're hoping that our lobbying of the government will bring additional funding to us.
The hospice faces an additional £190,000 in costs created by the rise in national minimum wage and national insurance contributions. The decision is to look at making redundancies in order to protect its hospice in your home services, which supports 9 out of 10 patients and families with care in their own homes.
We enable people to die at home. We support people to stay out of hospital, which also helps the hospitals to, to be able to look after more acutely unwell patients and provide that support not only to the patients but their families in the home environment. Unfortunately, these decisions have to be made. But as I said, without these decisions, the future of the hospice would be in doubt.
A spokesperson for the Department for Social Care said, "We recently announced the largest investment in hospices in a generation. This £100 million fund will improve facilities and allow hospices to focus their attention and wider resources on providing the best care to patients." The consultation period for employees is likely to take up to 30 days. Until then, it remains to be seen whether it's the end of the line for some jobs in this end-of-life facility. Jordan Guerrero for NOTS TV.
Right, let's have a look at some more news headlines now. And 5 Notts police stations will take part in a new national weapon amnesty targeting blank firing guns. Nottinghamshire Police says 4 specific types of firearms, which only shoot blanks, will be illegal from the end of next month because they could be converted into viable guns. A 4-week amnesty will take part from February the 3rd until February the 28th, with residents able to hand over the weapons into Newark, Mansfield, Oxclose Lane, Radford Road and Beeston police stations. And some dramatic pictures of a fire at a derelict former pub in Mansfield have been released. Fire crews from Mansfield, Ashfield, Hucknall and Shirebrook fire stations attended the fire at the Portland Arms pub on Albert Street just after 8:30 p.m. on Thursday evening. Notts Fire and Rescue Service says the fire was located on the second floor of the derelict pub. Crews tackled the blaze from the front and behind on Dame Flogan Street. The cause of the incident hasn't been determined, but some rubbish had been set alight. Right, coming up we've got a very special guest for you if you happen to be a dog lover, because we've got a dog coming in on the sofa. I don't know if I've ever interviewed an actual dog. We'll find out how that goes. The dog is starring in a film premiering in Hucknall this week, and then it's been taken all around the world. Also, Donald Trump's back in the White House as of this afternoon. We'll find out what you and the rest of Nottingham thinks about that next. Hello, welcome back to Monday's show. I'm Al, thank you for joining me. This is what's happening in Notts today, and train company East Midlands Railway has launched maps across its stations providing disabled customers with key accessibility information. EMR said the maps outline step-free access points, accessible toilets, parking facilities and assistance services at all its stations, including Nottingham or those on the Robin Hood line and around Derbyshire too. The operator said the maps were created using feedback from members of an accessibility panel, and more will be created throughout the year. Staying with transport, tram operator NET says there'll be a day of disruption on the networks while essential repairs take place. There won't be any trams running this Sunday, January 26th, between Wilkinson Street and the Forest. That's so tracks which are as old as 20 years can be replaced and passenger safety can be protected. A replacement bus will connect between the two park and rides, and will also pick up passengers at Radford Road and Hyson Green stops as well. A normal service is expected by 6 o'clock next Monday morning. And the reopening date's been confirmed for Hucknall Library after it closed for significant refurbishment. The library closed in October to accommodate improvement works such as upgraded spaces for people to read, as well as redecoration, recarpeting and a reconfigured layout. It will provide more shelving, more furniture and signage to make the library more modern. It's going to be open from 9 to 5 Monday to Friday and from 9 until 4 on Saturdays, and the actual reopening is on Thursday, January the 30th. Now, in case you've been living under a rock for the last few months, or you've just been interested in other things, Donald Trump's back in the White House. The president won the election back in November. He beat Democrat candidate and former Vice President Kamala Harris. He was inaugurated this afternoon, and that means he is officially president again. After winning the election, he's promised to end the war in Ukraine, solve the ongoing issues in the Middle East, and also to halt a rise in illegal immigration into America. Ahead of his inauguration, Katia Back spoke to a university expert and also to you in Nottingham to get your thoughts on the start of his new term.
Taking Trump seriously, but not literally, he wants us to see an increase in defence spending, but we'll probably, and I think this has come out from his allies as well, will be quite happy with us to be spending 3% of GDP. So it sounds more drastic than it is, but it's still tens of billions of pounds more funding on defence than we currently spend. And I think that's where the problem comes in relation to kind of the Treasury and, you know, particularly the Chancellor Rachel Reeves, if that is what he's demanding, and there are going to be consequences and repercussions for not meeting that kind of 3% target, if that's eventually what it comes down to, how do we find the money to pay for it when there are already substantial demands on public finance, whether it's the NHS, whether it's on house building or other areas of investment as well. I think in terms of kind of stopping World War III, I mean, it depends on who you speak to as to how close we are to that. But again, I would suspect the US does not, given his views on military action, does not want to enter into a war. He wants no wars.
We're in an economically vulnerable position. Starmer has got his feet to the fire in terms of he needs economic growth. And apart from rejoining the EU or significantly renegotiating our settlement with the EU, one way he can do this is by appealing to America.
The UK and the US are pretty intertwined when it comes to politics, especially now. And I think, I don't know, I remember being in the States when he was president for the 4 years, and it was just like a crazy culture shift.
I think the politicians here all bow down to him. They'll give in to whatever he wants as demand. They'll just, like they've always done with the Americans, they've always given in to them.
It's going to make things a lot more, American imports a lot more expensive here, and I think that it'll certainly impact British farmers as well, who are trying to ship their products abroad. So I think it's definitely going to stir some things up, and Great Britain's definitely going to have to worry about its further trade policy, not just with the United States, but with the EU.
Right, you are in for a treat. We've got our final guests of the show, one Nottingham filmmaker and a very special cast member, barrister Haresh Sood's newest documentary, Kama Sood Hara, which is about to go on its international tour from Hucknall's Arc Cinema to Cork in the Republic of Ireland, is where it sees Haresh turn the camera on himself for a globe-trotting journey to explore one man's experience on how being unmarried provides a unique insight on Indian marriage, culture and relationships. It's all by spreading the film's message of love, laughter and Labradors. That might give you a clue to the second guest. Haresh is here with a very special co-star, but first, let's have a look at the film.
Get under your skin. People can be obsessed with the idea of marriage, but then they're possessed.
You're 45, unmarried.
That's all right. In the Western world, not the Indian world.
Is he gay? Has he got a partner somewhere? Why doesn't he get married?
He's not the man. He's not the man. I was at a funeral. Somebody came up to me and said, "We got girl." I thought, oh my God.
Since Mum passed away, how has the loss of her changed your attitudes of love?
I think I also misunderstood what my mum wanted. I think she just wanted me to be settled and happy.
Everything that makes and breaks a relationship begins with the letter I.
I can break a relationship or I can make a relationship.
It is true, you might even hate the sight of each other.
I've always been told you have to do the marriage to get the children. Now I've realised that's not necessary.
Well, it's very powerful stuff. And joining me now is Haresh and Pancho as well. Who's is he asleep? Is he right?
He can't. He may be. He may
chilled.
be. He may be. But thank you for having me.
Thank you for coming in. It looks a really powerful film. So how did it come about?
So the film, actually, I started writing this story about 10 years ago, would you believe? Yeah, actually exactly 10 years ago. And it kind of was a story which I felt very passionate about, because there's a lot of things in our community to do with marriage which are not spoken about. Right. In terms of how there's an expectation that you should just get married and, you know, live life happily ever after. Right. And as we all know, there is no happily ever after. Yeah. It's full of lots of twists and turns. So that was one aspect, because I'm 47 now. Okay. And I started shooting this when I was 44. So you can imagine not being married in the Indian community up until this age is like, oh my God, right, okay. There's something wrong with him. So I wanted to touch upon that. And then I also wanted to touch upon a few other things. And then the actual story then flowed nicely, because I then added in one of my dating experiences, dating relationship experiences, which was the reason it kind of then became a bigger story, because then that relationship ended and I spoke about how that affected me. Right. And then other things happened, you know, and then sadly I lost my mum. Right. So it was kind of like a lot of things happened which were, you know, sad. And then after that, it was all about how do you reconnect with life? This is really powerful. So you started writing it without, obviously you couldn't have planned for any of that. So then it just took on its own incredible story. Yeah, I mean, I've always written, you know, and done other things in that field. But I think the story kind of flowed nicely when, you know, initially when I had the whole idea of the marriage thing, but then because of these relationship issues and whatever else happened afterwards, and then sadly losing mum, it kind of just helped the story kind of develop into a more powerful story. Okay. And also share that experience. I wanted to share that experience. And then, and in that journey, I'm trying to be a bit coy as well. As
you don't want to
because I don't want to give it all away.
No spoilers. I'll tell you what then, we'll keep keep people hanging for a bit, we should explain, or certainly I need to ask, why is there a dog in the room?
So
why is Pancho here?
Pancho is here because Pancho is actually in the film, and he's my dog. He's my delight. He's a lovely dog, and he is one of the reasons, or so I say one of the things actually that kind of really helped me.
Right.
You know, and I think animals are something which we. A lot of people do appreciate animals, but I think animals can really, really help you, really actually, you know, make you feel better in certain situations. And then, you know, I didn't get married, I got a dog.
Well, you know.
And that is actually like a controversial point in itself in the community. But you know, it's kind of like, jokes aside, you know, there's a lot of... There's a lot to talk about in this film, and I talk about relationships, why they work, why they don't work. Okay. So there's lots of things I bring in, and then Pancho comes into it as though he's sort of like a saviour to so many problems in life. You know?
And it's filmed all over the world, 5 different countries. Is that right?
Sorry, yeah, we shot. Yeah, of course. We shot it in 5 different countries. So we shot in Kuwait, India, Spain, and Norway, and England. And it's going to now have an international tour.
Brilliant. So, which all kicks off right here?
Kicks off this week in Nottingham, in Hucknall, at the Arc Cinema. And I want to thank the Arc Cinema unreservedly for their support. You know, Mark Gallagher, Kelly Golding, the managers there, have been just absolutely brilliant. And the Arc Cinema, they're having the tour around their whole country. Okay. And in Ireland with their cinemas.
Is there a website we can find your tour?
Yes, everything is, you'll find the film on the website of the Arc Cinema, but the film website is the name of the film. Now, if you haven't gathered already, it's a spin on Kama Sutra.
Right.
So Kama means bed in Spanish.
Okay.
Sud is my surname, and Hara means green in Hindi and Indian. So if you say it quick enough, Kama Sudra, Kama Sudra, Kama Sudra, do you get it?
I could do that in the intro. I wish I could redo it, but thank you for coming in. Thank you.
Thank you.
Brilliant. Right, we've got a picture of the day to look at. It should be Pancho, but it's not. It's Attenborough Nature Reserve. Helen Yvette sent this one. Time for your weather now. It is, you come here, you doggy. It's going to be cold. It's January, isn't it? What can I say? It's going to be cloudy, a little bit of sunshine tomorrow, but highs of just 6, dropping into 1 into Thursday. That's it for today. Pancho, do you want to come here? Do you want to come in? It's just offset, you can't see. He's having a little sleep. This is just a set, but he thinks it's a real house, so he might be here all night now. I'm back with you 5:30 tomorrow for more Knots Today. You take care. I'll see you then. Bye-bye.